So Manchester United are back in the Champions League on Wednesday. Bayern Munich away. I honestly think that only Real Madrid away could have been a harder opening game for Erik Ten Hag. And in the context of losing against Arsenal, of losing against Brighton, and the growing pressure, I suppose, for performances and results, this is as tough as it gets. You know what? I genuinely don't even think this is the biggest game this week. That's how important it is to beat Burnley. And this game on against Bayern Munich, boy, it's the hardest game of the group. And we need a performance, and we ideally need a result. But what's the team? What's the team news we know from United, from Bayern Munich? How have they been playing? What's their starting 11? What's the setup going to be? What changes are needed from Brighton? I'm going to try and answer all those questions in this video. So if you can, please drop a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new and you're enjoying yourself. But right now, you're probably not enjoying watching United. But let me run through the team news. Now, a couple of positives to start with. I know, sit back. An actual bit of positive injury news for United. Rare these days. But Raphael Varane and Mason Mount both were involved in training ahead of Bayern Munich. We don't know whether that means either are going to start, but it's good to have some players returning. And I'll tell you what, I think we've missed probably Raphael Varane more than Mason Mount, certainly, simply because of how unstable our defence is right now. But Mason Mount coming back in is going to add a lot of much needed energy into a midfield, which has desperately lacked it. Now, Amrabat and Mainoo's back on the grass, great. Amrabat trains separately and away from the first team. Probably means that Amrabat's not going to be fit to start this game. But Amrabat can't be that far away. Now there's a little training video here of the players ahead of the Champions League tie. And Ten Hag will need a response from these players, man. Like, Ten Hag has got responses before. I would argue, and I spoke about this in the live stream this morning, I don't actually think that this... I think there was more pressure on Ten Hag and this team after losing against Brighton and Brentford than there is now. But we need to start collectively playing as a team. In terms of Bayern Munich, there's an injury question around Joshua Kimmich, which might be a nice little thing for United. But realistically, you're probably just going to see Konrad Laimer come in. Now, this was the team that played for Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen at the weekend. A 2-2 draw. A last-minute penalty equaliser for Bayer Leverkusen. But it wasn't a game that they dominated. It was a game that they were certainly dangerous. And I tell you what, if you're looking at the danger men for Bayern Munich, you're definitely looking towards their wingers. Leroy Sané has been their key performer so far this season. Well, in terms of stats-wise anyway. He's the danger man. And given how choppy and changey our back line has been, let's take a look at the starting 11 and see what changes that Ten Hag might be making. I'll tell you what might be making. Ten Hag absolutely should be making. That midfield diamond there. That did not work whatsoever for United. It just got overran. Right, the midfield, the concept of the midfield was to stack it, was to, squeeze it so they couldn't go through. That can't happen against Bayern Munich. We cannot play with that midfield diamond. So changes are immediately needed. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not sure whether this will happen, but I have question marks as to whether we'll see Martinez play this game. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because so far this season, Martinez has not quite been himself. I think that's fair to say. It's a complete observation. He's not come into this season in the same tenacity and just how good he was last year. Something isn't quite right yet, and I think it must be a fitness-related thing. So, in my opinion, if Varane is fit and Varane is capable, I think we'll see this in the backline. And the reason I'm saying this as well is because I think Erik Ten Hag will want Martinez to be 100% fit for Bayern Munich. So this is a little bit of rotation as much as it is a little bit of a change. I think that Varane and Casemiro for me are two key players because of their Champions League experience. And we need experience in this game. We need to try and measure this game, control this game. Don't go out there and just be excited by the occasion and play at a million miles an hour. You do that, you're going to invariably lose against Bayern Munich. I think they've won their last 19 Champions League opening fixtures of the group stage. I think that's right. And that's just mind-boggling. But in terms of where the biggest threat from Bayern Munich is going to come, it's going to be a big test for Sergio Reguilón. In my opinion, I think he actually passed that test against Brighton. I thought Reguilón was probably one of our best players. But if you're looking at, first of all, that matchup. Sane against Reguilón is going to be probably their biggest danger point. Sane cutting down and getting a cross inside for Kane. Look, Harry Kane's going to score in this game, all right? Just, you make peace with it now and you won't be as angry when it happens. But stopping Sane is going to be one of Reguilón's biggest tasks. But also, and this is key, it's actually getting into these positions here as well and actually giving United an outlet so that we can actually hold possession. The fullback is, in my opinion, it's the hardest position to play in modern football. I really think it is. Like the athleticism and the constant positioning that is required both going forward and back. It's the hardest in football. I think we need Reguilon to have an absolute scorcher of a game against Bayern Munich, both from a defensive perspective against Sane and from a possession perspective in letting us play out from the back and actually controlling the ball. And this guy, I am in particular, of all the players I'm looking at improving their game, Casemiro for me is that guy. Now, I think we're going to see a change in shape against Bayern Munich. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see this midfield diamond. I think we're going to be seeing this, right? I think you're going to see Casemiro. I think Eriksen's going to keep his place in the team. And I think you're going to see United sort of drop back into what I would hope. Is it the Christmas tree? Like the 4-2-2-2 on paper. It won't be exactly like that. But look, let me put these players into position and I'll show you exactly what I mean. I think McTominay drops to the bench. I think he was absolutely abysmal against Brighton. I think Bruno keeps his position. I personally feel that Hannibal keeps his position. And then we see Rashford and Højlund as the split strikers. I would like to see some... And this looks a bit weird, this formation. So I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be exactly like this. But Casemiro, in particular, I'm looking at to improve his performances. He's not been there anywhere near his levels this year. And it's a Champions League. And I think we should be looking to rely on him to lead by example. Casemiro and Varane. Both of them. Now, the reason I'm saying this formation is because, look, it allows Casemiro and Eriksen to have that partner. I think if you isolate either of them in this midfield, it's going to get sticky. It's going to get real sticky. You need those two to be moving with each other, right? And that's the same thing with Bruno. And I put Hannibal in here, right? Hannibal, of course, got that cracking goal at the weekend. But Hannibal in this role... Oh, geez, that's an interesting shape. Hannibal in this role, if Bruno, right, if Bruno goes across to this side of the pitch to create space, Hannibal's got to come with him. Of course, that's going to leave a gap down here, which United will need to cover. Maybe Reguilon can push up into it. But United need to move in pairs. That's why I'm going for this. I'm saying a pair in midfield of Eriksen and Casemiro. I'm saying a pair in midfield of Bruno and Hannibal. And a pair up front of Rasmus and Rashford. But Eriksen and Casemiro in particular are going to have a tough time of it against Bayern Munich. Now, let's move on to the next talking point. Unfortunately, I don't think this man's going to be starting. I would love to have Amrabat in there, but if he's only training away from the first team as it stands, then I don't think we can reasonably expect to see Amrabat come into the team. So I think if he does play, maybe he comes off the bench for the last 20, 30 minutes. Hopefully United are still in it. That's what we need to be, and that's why we need that control. That's why we need someone like Amrabat. But that's why also I'm not playing wingers. I'm playing on the counter-attack here, all right? I'm expecting United to be sitting sort of kind of deep in this shape here, maybe even deeper than that, and for Rashford and Højlund to basically be hugging the halfway line, balls over the top, and to split down there. And then they get the support through the middle from Bruno or Hannibal, who can come for the late runs towards the edge of the box. But we have to be defensively resolute here. This has to be a game where United won't be having maximum amount of possession, all right? Amrabat, I don't think he'll start. I think we'll see these two start up front. And then on the bench, we'd then have Garnacho to come on in the last 20, 30 minutes. We'd have Pellistri to come on in the last 20 to 30 minutes for an extra added bit of breakaway pace. But this game here is about protecting that back line. That's why I'm playing Eriksen and Casemiro alongside each other in a double pivot. And I've actually gone for like an extra, instead of having an extra winger, so United playing in our traditional shape of Rashford out wide, maybe Pellistri out wide over there and Højlund through the middle. I'm dropping one of those bodies to add the extra body in midfield, but I'm not using the midfield diamond shape. That didn't work. We need a double pivot, and I think Bruno can partnership Hannibal in the middle with energy. They're going to be the relentless ball run. They're going to be the two that are sort of, constantly looking to hustle, constantly looking to, squeeze down space on the ball. If Mount's completely fit, Mount will probably play there, and it will suit him as well, I think. I don't know what to predict from this game. I honestly don't. Because United have been in, I would say, worse positions than this, and we've had performances. After the Brighton and Brentford games, we didn't expect the performance we got against Liverpool. Ten Hag needs a similar style performance. I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw because I'm optimistic. I think a 1-1 draw here is a brilliant result. And this is away from home, man. In Champions League, Fergie played the 4-5-1 all the time. And maybe it will even be like a more of a 4-5-1 shape. You could, in theory, let's have a look here. You could, I don't know. You could bring Hannibal back down there. You could almost have Rashford and Bruno as those two there, with Højlund sitting as the sole striker. And you might say, oh, so defensive, X, Y, Z. Well, yeah, well, this is a game where the result is more important than the performance. All right? We need a result. And I would kind of, out of possession, I would kind of expect United to line up something like this. And then the ball to burst forward. Rashford could then burst forward down there. Bruno could, no, I wouldn't, no, Bruno could burst forward. Hannibal will be the person. And the reason I'm playing Hannibal there is so we can actually have a measure of possession. But I don't know what to expect. I have no idea who the starting 11 is going to be in this one. I think changes are needed. I've run through who I think is needed in this game and what I would play. It's a Champions League. In my opinion, the Burnley game is bigger. That's why I'm resting Martinez, and that's why I'm playing Lindelof there at the back. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. But this is going to be a really, really interesting game, and I have no idea what to expect. And I'm nervous. Of course I'm nervous.